Flashback 1980. Two longtime collaborators and good friends named Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis wants to produce a movie about time travel. Unfortunately, burdened by the failure of their precedent project made in collaboration with Zemeckis' mentor Steven Spielberg, they struggle to find a good narrative. After the release of the comedy Used Car, Gale visits his parents and comes across his dad's yearbook. Gale questions his dad about if he thinks they would have been friends in high school. His dad answers that no, but an idea has sparked. What if they could test that theory by going back in time when they were both in high school? Gale shares the idea with Zemeckis and he must have liked it because in late 1980 they start drafting their idea. In a time when time travel movies depict the past as this immovable force, Gale and Zemeckis want to show the past as being changed. In September of that year, they pitched their idea to Frank Price, the president of Columbia Pictures. In February of 1981, the first draft is completed, and even though it needed changes, the project and the script was written and rewritten until 1985 when Back to the Future finally hit the big screen. It was a laborious road, but for the following decades, the duo of an old scientist and an amazed teenager going on sci-fi adventure has marked the spirit of the grand public. Through the years, cartoons keep democratizing themselves, growing bigger and bigger both in terms of quality and interest. In parallel, the public grows acquainted to sci-fi, space and interdimensional travel in fiction, movement that will eventually give great cartoons such as Futurama. In 2003, a screenwriter known as Don Harmon co-creates Channel 101, a non-profit short film festival in Los Angeles, where the participants have to submit their short film in the format of a TV pilot. That's where Dan Harmon will meet Justin Roiland, a young writer who submits a lot of projects with an impressive shock value. He even has the reputation of confusing the viewer. Harmon eventually took an interest into Roland's humor. They start working together and the comedic duo is formed. In 2006, Roiland was unfortunately fired from his job in TV. This resulted in him channeling his creativity into new webisode for Channel 101. The result is called The Real Animated Adventure of Doc and Marty, an animated short film parodying Back to the Future. Following the high reaction from the audience, Justin will keep on making low-budget episodes of this series, growing his concept and passion. In 2012, Dan Harmon is fired from the writing staff of Community, a sitcom he has himself created. But at the same time, Adult Swim, the mature branch of Cartoon Network, was searching for a new primetime hit show. And for a new primetime hit show, you need a new primetime hit writer. Following this offer, Harmon called Roland asking if he had any ideas for an animated show, Harmon being very unfamiliar with animated mediums. Roland responds by telling his idea of an old man going on an adventure with a teenager, renaming the character of Doc and Marty in Rick and Morty. And that's how in December of 2014, the hit show aired its first episode. The series had a bit of trouble finding its basics, but almost a decade later, its popularity is not to be discussed anymore. And just like the TV show, the fandom evolved, saying that the average viewer of Rick and Morty had to be a genius to understand the show. But why do we say that? Is that accurate? If yes, at what point? And most importantly, what does it mean on a writing standpoint? The answer to all these questions is simple. Rick, a fascinating character, written on so many complex layers, one of the most appreciated fictional persona and yet probably one of the most misunderstood. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, Zelrix here. Today we're gonna dive deep in the philosophy of Rick Sanchez. From characterization to development, passing by the message and premises behind the old man, at the end of today's video, you will have everything you need to truly understand Rick as a character. If these kinds of video interest you, or if you want to bring up a certain point that I missed, leave a comment and please consider subscribing to be notified whenever a new video comes up. Also remember to be aware of spoilers for the 5 seasons of Rick and Morty that have aired so far. On that note, let's talk Sanchez. Rick's backstory is complicated, it evolves through the show. Rick and Morty is set in a multiverse where almost each universe possesses a Rick and a Morty. Each Rick is supposed to have the same backstory, which is they discovered interdimensional travel, were recruited by other Ricks, abandoned their family, and returned in the life of their daughter Beth after 20 years of absence, a few months before the first episode. Kicking off the show, we learn to appreciate the dynamic duo that is Rick and Morty. The old grandpa genius bringing his 14 years old dumbass grandson on an adventure, making him skip school and miss on social life. That's for the general backstory of Rick, because the one we follow that I will be referring to as Rick C137 has a bit of a different story. He refused to join the other Ricks and he was punished. They tried to bomb him out, except the bomb touched his daughter and wife instead. Rick then went on a crusade for revenge, searching for the Rick responsible for the death of his family, creating the Citadel and eventually returning in Beth's life. Rick is the definition of a chaotic neutral character, not giving a crap about people around him and always taking the worst possible decision to benefit only him. That's how most Ricks are, or at least how they are supposed to be. Because what differentiates C137 from the other Rick is that he cares. He cares for his family and friends at the point of going to jail and being flickered out of space and time to protect them.
Morty, where's your collar? I'll fix it.
I dropped it!
I'm okay with this. Be good, Morty. Be better than me.
But he doesn't show it. Why? Because it's simply that out of character for him. Ricks are supposed to be selfish, heartless, real jerks and bastards.
You're crying? Over a Morty? No, I'm just allergic to dipshits. Ugh, pathetic. We both know that if there's any truth in the universe, it's that Ricks don't care about Mortys.
We see it in the episode built around toxic personality. Rick and Morty are burning out, so they go to a spa. They enter a machine that is supposed to take away all form of stress and toxicity from your own mind.
That bullet is laced with an encrypted nanobotic virus that will disintegrate your Morty in about 20 minutes. You think I give it? I know you give it, dummy. Because I know I don't.
If what the machine takes away from you is your definition of toxic, and the affection from Rick to Morty is indeed taken away, then Rick considers said affection to be toxic.
What is your problem? Oh, I had all my problems removed. My entitlement, my narcissism, my crippling loneliness, my irrational attachments. They must be somewhere.
Ricks are not likable people, and no one knows that best than C137. The backstory of Sanchez is one hell of an emotional roller coaster, losing a daughter and wife, usurpating identity, interdimensional war, and the list goes on. Through this journey, it is fair to assume that he has done things he's not proud of. All that addition to the tragic events send Rick spiraling down on a path. This path led to a place where Rick hates everyone, even himself. That's why he constantly degrades everyone around him, always reminding people he's the best, the smartest, and the greatest being in the galaxy. We have a word to define these types of people: narcissistic pervert. A mental state where the person will feel better by making everyone around them feel like they're worth less than him.
Summer Smith is a psycho nerd and she just got me kicked out of school.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I just hope you got a pre-meld.
Rick!
What? It's just a practical way of making sure that when she's done with you, you can get one of your balls back. There are a bunch of drama queens that spend an hour talking and 20 minutes jumping around while shit blows up.
And above the constant degrading and the obvious complex coming with his personality, Rick has his fair share of bad doing during the show. Selling weapon to an assassin, cloning Beth and not knowing which is the real one, borderline abducting Morty in multiple occasions, and the list goes on. But he faces consequences. He's often confronted to his own issues and has to suffer the ripple effect. It begs the question, is it okay to be a total jerk, toxic and unbearable negative influence if you have suffered enough? I believe the right answer to be no, since we literally have an episode showing off how the entire behavior of Rick is toxic. Why? Because of his intelligence. Rick is smart, there is no denying it, but this intelligence has driven him to a point where he sees the imperfection in the universe. He knows joy is not everlasting when pain and suffering are. His smartness has given him a narrow field of view.
You think that's funny? You gotta have a sense of humor about these things. Oh wait, you can't. You're literally incapable of seeing the bigger picture.
It's not that he doesn't see the big picture, it's just that he doesn't want to, because he doesn't believe there is a point in anything. If at the beginning of life we are birthed and at the end of it we die, there is nothing in between. Mentally, that will eventually drop on his grandson.
Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV.
Case in point, Morty is often regarded as a feeble mind in the early seasons, and even the only time he seems happy is when he's living a normal life away from Rick.
We need to go on a quick adventure.
You said I could go to school today.
That was before I needed something, Morty.
Something that we can deduce is an allegory to Rick's suffering from his own smartness. Proof in Sanchez himself, all the Ricks are super grumpy and seems unhappy, except for one, Doofus Rick, the simple-minded version who never had children of his own.
I'm the worst Rick of them all.
According to who? Other versions of you? If I've learned one thing, it's that before you get anywhere in life, you gotta stop listening to yourself.
I can't take all the credit, Jerry. It was your idea. Come here, Jerry. You know, Jerry, I'm not going to tell you that these will increase in value or even hold their current value. The truth is, you bought them because you like them. They have value to you. That's what matters.
He never got a family, he's below average in terms of intelligence, he's being bullied by other Ricks, he has everything to be as sad if not more than the status quo. But look at him, he might be the only Rick with a glimpse of happiness within him, and the only one nice to Jerry, character known to be the target of Rick's mockery due to his low level of intelligence.
There's nowhere left to turn, so Morty and I are just gonna fly my spaceship into a black hole.
What?
Is that cool with you, dog?
Rick, no! Morty!
Got it! The call's coming from inside the house! Look at his face! Look at his face!
This episode is also the first one to portray Evil Morty, or Eye Patch Morty as he is known in the fandom. The Morty who, just like Rick, understands in what kind of universe he lives in and is unhappy with it. The entire story arc of Morty is all about learning how to detach himself from his grandpa, and Eye Patch Morty is the reflection of what happened when a Morty doesn't do it and become as bad if not worse than the average Rick. It's a powerful message since Mortys are often regarded as this archetype and definitions of innocence.
Just don't get too big for your loafers, Buster Brown. A cocky Morty can lead to some big problems. It can be a real bad thing for everybody.
But speeches are for campaigning. Now is the time for action.
Proving once and for all that Rick isn't someone you should like. Then, why is he worshipped by the fandom? The term misunderstood in fiction, it's used left and right, but often to define characters who are rough around the edges, but inside are way more sensitive than it seems. We can name Dr. Cox from Scrub, Kevin Levin from Ben 10, or Grunkle Stan in Gravity Falls. But Rick, he's misunderstood in the literal meaning of the term. People don't get that Rick is a bad person and that they should not worship him. And that's the biggest problem with this fanbase. When you follow and identify as a toxic character, you might end up having a toxic behavior yourself. We think obviously to these times there were freakouts and borderline riots at McDonald's just to get Szechuan sauce in response to the season 3 opening episode.
They had this promotion for the Disney film Mulan, where they created a new sauce for the McNuggets called Szechuan sauce, and it's delicious. And then they got rid of it, and now it's gone. This is the only place we're gonna be able to try it, is in my memory.
Szechuan sauce! Give us sauce! Give us sauce! Give us! Where's my Szechuan sauce? I'm Pickle Rick! Wubba lubba dum dum! I'm Pickle Rick! Rick!
It's sauce. Simple, good tasting sauce. No matter how good it is, no matter how you are invested in this fandom, it's not an excuse to confront innocent McDonald's workers to this behavior. Or just the end of the 5th season? Do you even realize what it was?
Did you help build the Citadel? Did you just lie to me about everything?
Can't we just sneak through the cave base? We turned a new leaf, Morty. We're back to simple adventures.
In this scene, Rick represents the writers of the show who just wanted to portray Rick and Morty as an episodic format going on simple adventures. Meanwhile, Morty is supposed to represent the part of the fandom who was not letting that happen unless they give them straight answers.
It's not a new leaf until you tell me everything. No, I don't trust you. I don't want to do this anymore if I'm not going to get straight answers from you.
God damn it. Here's my fucking downloaded brain, Morty. You want to jump the shark? You want to know my stupid crybaby backstory?
Throwing a tantrum that make the series they love go down the road they want. Ah yes, you know them, the same fans who think that a medium belongs to them just because they like it. I produced an entire video about them, by the way. There are multiple instances where Rick wasn't fully understood as a character that way. Let's see some of them. In season 4, Rick created an entire piece of land just to go to the bathroom. Summer explains that Rick is a shy pooper.
And leaves without Morty, it means he's going to go poop. He's a shy pooper. He has a secret pooping place.
Man, you, Summer.
That's why this show is awesome. It managed to discuss the deep human psychology with toilet humor. Rick is represented on the toilet, alone, in an almost infinitely peaceful and vast landscape. You might have gotten it. Rick, being a shy pooper, is a metaphor for him not letting people in his life. Not admitting that he needs people and not admitting that he needs friends. We are talking about a guy who is ready to separate the entire multiverse just to be sure that every accessible universes depicts him as the smartest being in it. He's constantly building walls around himself. Until this one guy, Tony, decides to use the toilet. It is revealed that his wife is dead and that he probably is the only person who truly gets how Rick feels.
I don't mind joining her. Life has been hollow since I lost her. Using your toilet was nice, though. I'm a bit of a shy pooper.
Obviously, apart from the others, he has put in some Matrix reality just to avoid admitting he needs friends.
All of these people
Are living their wildest, meaningless dreams and leaving me out of them.
people you refuse to kill and refuse to let into your life.
An offer you rejected, so here's your last chance.
So Rick pulls off a Sanchez and decides to give Tony the toilet, but he rigs it. He rigs it to play a huge holographic message whenever he's gonna sit on it. When Rick learns about Tony's death, he's devastated, but he doesn't show it.
I gotta process this.
I understand. It's hard losing a friend.
You.
What?
He's not my friend.
The only person who ever got him is gone, and he sits on his own toilet.
How you ruined it for yourself because you're a huge piece of shit. Look at you sitting there king shit on his throne of loneliness. Enjoy this toilet with 1,000 of me screaming every time you take a shit.
The message is literally that Rick is calling himself the saddest piece of garbage in the entire universe. That he feels worthless, that he hates himself. Arguably the most powerful moment in the entire show, because when put into perspective, this is when we realize how truly of a sad old man Rick is. But then you always have that friend who's a bit dumber than the others who's like, yeah, and look at that, they even made a Funko Pop out of this scene, there's even a toilet, oh my god, that's so funny! And unfortunately, it proves that even the production and the marketing team is ready to encourage this behavior. Why? Because they know people don't get their writing. Yes, Pickle Rick, the gag of turning into a condiment, has a way deeper meaning than it seems. A quick recap. Rick turns himself into a pickle to avoid family therapy. We can draw the parallel between Rick and Beth. Rick wants to keep his emotional distance once again, and Beth tries to keep the therapist out of her head.
What kind of question is that?
The kind that wasn't designed to attack or hurt you in any way.
Oh, Jesus Christ, one of these.
I think it may punish them. I think it's possible that dynamic eroded your marriage and is infecting your kids with the tendency to misdirect their feelings.
You.
Mom!
Both of you two.
Go, you guys are pros. What do you guys think about doing this once a week?
When Rick finally arrives at the meeting, they talk it out, Beth starts letting the therapist help her, and Rick turns back into a human later in the car.
Sweetie, could I get that syringe now?
Oh my God, yes, Dad, it's in my purse. Oh, I'm sorry, you must be in agony.
Notice that Rick asked for the syringe instead of just taking it, showing how he is ready to start letting Beth in his life. For the first time in who knows how long, Rick is ready to ask for help. The fact that he is completely naked when he transformed back in front of his family, showing the vulnerability of the character. Speaking of which, Pickle Rick hides another way deeper meaning. You see, in the opening of the episode, we have this piece of dialogue showing how Rick can do anything.
Why anyone would do this? The reason anyone would do this, if they could, which they can't, would be because they could, which they can't.
This gag is a criticism towards the show and what it has become in answer to the fans' reaction to it.
I'm a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!
I'm Pickle Rick! Wubba lubba dub dub! I'm Pickle Rick! Rick! I'm Pickle Rick!
Move! Can you fly? Wouldn't be much of a pickle if I could. Alright, well, do pickles live forever? Or... Morty, stop digging for hidden layers and just be impressed. I'm a pickle.
Rick is a pickle. A literal pickle. He says it himself, stop looking for deeper meaning in things. He's a simple piece of condiment. But regarding as how the fandom always says that the Rick and Morty fandom is the smartest of all and that you have to be a genius to understand the show, there is this little condescendency that has downloaded itself in the brains of fans, saying that each moment in Rick and Morty has to be really meaningful and mean something on a deeper level, which sometimes it just doesn't. Why? Because some people work in a kitchen, some people build robots, and some people turn themselves into a pickle without having any further thoughts about life, universe, or anything. And the irony here is the fact that the gag that is supposed to have no deeper meaning has one of the deepest meaning in Rick and Morty, as it is a direct criticism towards the fandom. Fandom that is always trying to find deeper meanings in every single frame of each episode, appropriating themselves the canon of the show and forgetting that they are spectators, not writers. No matter the message, no matter if the writers are ready to put an effort or not, the result will always be the same, as Rick has evolved in a position where he can do anything, exactly like...
I can be lazy too! Look at me! I'm a worthless employee, just like Homer Simpson. But it doesn't matter, because I'm Homer Simpson! I'm better than okay. I'm Homer Simpson. What's this? Extremely high voltage. Well, I don't need safety gloves, because I'm Homer Simpson.
Yes, unfortunately, Rick is being touched by flanderization, or what we also call the syndrome of Homer Simpson, because it applies to both characters. It often refers as a trait of personality of the character, often a mild one, taking over the entire personality of said character. Putting simply, it's when a character becomes a parody of themselves. Flanders went from a good neighbor who believed in Jesus and a genuinely nice guy to a religious fanatic and borderline evangelist.
And Harry Potter and all his wizard friends went straight to hell for practicing witchcraft.
Yay! I am a Buddhist!
My Satan sense is tingling.
While for Homer, originally he was, yes, a bit simple-minded, but he was also capable of being sarcastic and playing mind games. And most importantly, he was ready to do everything for his family, being a loving father and husband.
You're here forever.
There are pictures. I keep them where I need the most cheering up.
Stopped over again. 1, 2,
Peggy, funny daddy. Go, go, go. Ow!
Seasons later, Homer has become a sociopath too stupid to function in a realistic society, who's closer to a big baboon than the portrayal of the average American he once was. The episode with Frank Grimes perfectly portrays this problem.
Good heavens! This is a palace! How in the world can you afford to live in a house like this, Simpson?
I don't know. Don't ask me how the economy works.
It was a letter from Matt Groening himself to the studio and the grand public that no matter what's gonna happen, Homer Simpson can do anything and there are never consequences. Because the show and characters have evolved in a way that allows Homer to be pretty much anything he wants to be. And Pickle Rick is just like no one cares that Rick does the stupidest or worst thing possible. The show portrays him as smart, the fans like him, so he is a likable genius. There is nothing wrong with liking assholes in fiction. Myself, I really enjoy BoJack Horseman, Dr. Bob Kelso, Voldemort, and Deadpool. But you need to remember that just because you like someone doesn't make them a good and healthy person. Meanwhile, the fans of Rick and Morty are throwing left and right the famous "and Pickle Rick" line without even realizing that they're mocking themselves. This gag is just there to mock people who think everything has to have a deeper meaning. And they're just proving that they don't get Rick as a character and they don't get the general idea of the show. Rick and Morty is not meant for geniuses, it's not a complex thought in reflection of our society. It's a simple show about an asshole grandpa dragging his 14 years old loser grandson into stupid and crazy adventures. And I believe that people just overrate the general meaning and message of the show just to have an excuse to watch a cartoon while they're over 20 years old. But first of all, you shouldn't be ashamed of watching cartoon no matter what age you are. And then the day you accept that sometimes things are just fun without having a deeper meaning is the day you will truly be considered as a mature adult being. If Rick C-137 is a toxic person and sadder than the entire multiversal counterpart he has, he's also the only Rick we see having a chance to redeem himself. Why? Because he chose to. This notion of choice is really present in Rick and Morty, and a criticism over the entire social system we live in regarding mental health and social state. If you want to get better, you have to choose to do so. If you want to get better, you have to put an effort to it and to do the right thing. Case in point, the beginning of season 2 shows Rick ready to give his life to protect Morty, while the end of said season will drive him to surrender to the forces of justice, answering for his crimes just to let his family live a normal life. But once again, he's not gonna brag about it or assume what he did. Why? Because he doesn't want his family to get close to him. Because when people get close to him, they get hurt. We think about his wife and daughter, but also his friends like Bird Person. This is why this Rick is the Rickiest Rick of them all. He knows that he has flaws, and even if he buries it beneath that shell of selfish, egotistical megalomaniac that the other Ricks are, C-137 is indeed more human than them. He's flawed, he's weaker, he's more vulnerable than them, which aside from making him a very interesting character, also turns him into the most powerful Rick there can be. In conclusion, I just want to point out that Rick and Morty is probably the best sci-fi cartoon we've gotten since Futurama, and that I enjoy Rick very much. Not despite, but rather because of all the points we've enumerated in this essay. So, to answer our question, do you have to be a genius to understand and appreciate Rick and Morty at its full potential? The answer is obviously no, and that's the magic of the show. If you like intelligent humor, this show is for you. It is full of complex psychology and great character development, notably around Rick and Morty themselves. Rick learns to let people in his life and get to be a better person through the seasons, even though at the end of season 5 there are a lot of work to do. As for Morty, in the span of 5 seasons, he has grown from an innocent and loser teenager to a pretty capable young adult.
Listen up! My name is Morty Smith from Earth Dimension C-137. I know you're scared because I'm scared, but that's no reason to accept our fate!
If you want my opinion, Morty is a young man who had to grow too fast. But honestly, that's the topic for a whole other video. But as great and complex as this character development and deeper meaning are, they're just the cherry on top of the cake. Because if you're looking for a simple show to enjoy without having to commit to episode after episode, Rick and Morty is also great for you. Yes, there is a certain point in narrative, but just like shows like Gravity Falls, Avatar The Last Airbender, or Cowboy Bebop, it's mainly an episodic show which is meant to be jumped on at any point in time, and that you can exit for 2 or 3 years without having to rewatch the entire series when you want to get back to it. It's a great piece of entertainment, and at the end of the day, isn't that what makes a great TV show? Entertainment? Rick himself is pretty terrible and miserable, but that's the whole point of the character. Not a good person, but someone who makes you think and look at the world around you, putting you in front of your own reflection and questioning yourself. In the meantime, be sure to discuss what I said in this video in the comment section and to drop your own analysis of Rick. Or even Morty, Summer, Jerry and Beth, because I had a lot of things to say about them. Unfortunately, it didn't really fit the angle I wanted to take with this video. Then you can remember to subscribe and activate the bell to be notified whenever a new video comes up, and follow me on my social medias, all linked in the description. Remember to share this video across the multiverse with all your Rick and Morty fan friends, and as always, thanks for watching.